I mean, if I just, categorize by internal and external challenges, of course, internally, it was totally a different, and new terrain of work, new ways of doing things, because this concept of work from home has never been there for us. And so, however, immediately after the outbreak of the pandemic and immediately after it was announced by the government, the lockdown, then we had to go to work from home mode. But I would say that given that the level of skills, at least technological skills and all, we could quickly adapt to the new situation. There are various technologies which are also which not only helps you to work, take continue the way you work, but also sometimes monitor and keep a track of the progress of our activities. So that has really helped. But I would say that if a lesson could be taken from here, that there is still more scopes for increasing the efficiency and skills in terms of adapting to the situation like this. But however, even though I also found that in fact the workload had increased substantially when we are at home, because you sit in the morning and then you are in front of the computer till you go to sleep. So there was no hour. And also, since the whole world was also from working from home mode, so you just you are logged onto the laptop and interacting with colleagues across the world. So it was also quite time heavy, and the workload, I think, substantially increased. And I would say that, at least in my organizations, colleagues have been really adaptive to the situation and without any complaint. But again, and after a certain period, I think there was some sort of boredom, because then you are just confined within the four walls. So we had, at one point in time, we had opened the office and we started to come to offices by rotation. And then this year in March we started full office, but then immediately again, because of the second wave, we had to again start working from home. So we are just juggling from changing our one mode to the other. That's what is happening. But still the activities are continuing, and I would say that as Dr. Suleri has mentioned, that we could quickly also shift the focus of our activities. We work on economic and social issues, but we don't work on any specific area, but all the macroeconomic issues and also sectoral issues. So health was, of course, always a focus of our activities, and given the importance of the COVID impact, we could work on a number of areas, including, of course, the implications of COVID-19 on various sectors of the economy, and then what would be the impact of the lockdown, and in terms of employment and income erosion and poverty, inequality, all these aspects we have done. And as all the other organizations, we had also conducted a number of online surveys, telephone surveys, and also face-to-face surveys we have done at some point when the situation improved a little bit. So we are discussing also that the donors had also shifted their focus because of the significance or the extent of because of this extent of this COVID. So many of their fund had to be focused towards taking actions rather than giving support to the think tanks. So that from that point of view, there was a shrinkage of funds. But again, I think those who had this multi-dimensional activities, they could also spread their work and continue their work, and CPT was one of those organizations. And also, since we were also working from home, there was some cost management, also cost rationalization that also helped. again. But externally, I would also say that now, how can we address similar challenges? This is a lesson for future. I would say that this we don't expect anything like this in future. But if we ever have to change or continue the productivity, continue our activities, one lesson would be, of course, that we have more skills and capacity, and in terms of infrastructure, so that we can provide all infrastructural facilities to all colleagues so that they can work from home without any interruption. Of course, that didn't happen because they all had their own technological device. But if the office could support that, that would have been better. And also, I think it is also a responsibility. This is one. Then, of course, the second one, definitely in terms of resource mobilization, that's the constant challenge. But that also, this COVID has also given the lesson that if you can quickly, cater to the problem and conceptualize your areas of work, and work towards that, that is very useful. So several in our country, we haven't seen any surveys from the government agencies, but at the point when this type of crisis arises, data is so important. Because data-based, evidence-based decision-making is critical to have a proper, decision to address this problem. But we haven't seen, unfortunately. So what has happened that think tanks, independent think tanks like CPD and many others, they had quickly, undertaken surveys, large surveys, so that we can have an idea. So we could service that. And we could also not only, analyze intellectual exercises, not only intellectual exercise itself, but also giving the suggestions, evidence-based suggestions, policy recommendations to the policymakers. However, I would also say that this was an experience, at least in the case of Bangladesh, there is an inertia, or there's a lack of interest to engage the non-state actors in the whole process of managing the COVID crisis. Not only, not only in terms of field-based actions. For example, in Bangladesh, several organizations traditionally, historically, has been working at the field level, and they have been addressing and working to tackle various disasters in the past, like natural disasters, flood, cyclone, and all these. And they have been doing quite efficiently, quite successfully. But this time we have seen that the government had not engaged those organizations. They just kept a separate wall. And this was exclusively a bureaucratic exercise. But this is one. And secondly, also from the think tanks input. So that has always been the case that they have a sort of disinterest towards the findings of think tanks. But in this case, since they didn't have any numbers or any surveys on the fallout of COVID-19, the surveys or the data generated by the non-state think tanks, non-state actors, or the think tanks, independent think tanks, could have helped. But there was again this inertia or lack of interest. So the whole non-state actor community has been distanced, has been kept outside the whole management of the COVID situation. So this is a lesson, but experience. But the lesson is that you continue to do what what is the purpose of your mission, or the objective of the think tank. So that is what is, I think, one of the important lessons. And I think this is also a time to contribute from wherever you are. So think tank in our country, I think that those have played a critical role in terms of generating knowledge, which can help in undertaking policies and these types of policies which are backed by data, field-generated, evidence-based data, this tend to be robust and more, I think, maybe more successful. I have, I think, 3 points right now. The first one, I think, I would emphasize once again that the role of data has become so important, and COVID has also pointed out and reiterated because, for example, in order to have have an efficient intervention in the areas of health, you need good public health data across the world. We are having several data, number of cases and also the number of deaths, but we quite often hear doubts about those numbers because if we don't have good quality data, then you can't really take correct decision. Also, in case of other interventions, for example, uh, for social protection. Many countries, even in South Asia, also in Bangladesh as well, that the government has initiated social protection measures, stimulus packages. However, targeting those beneficiaries for the social protection measures, be it in the form of direct cash transfer or food support or all these. Firstly, there's a lack of authentic listing and also the inclusivity. This is, those who are eligible, they are not on the list, and we don't really know. One doesn't really know that who are those beneficiaries and how many. And there is also difference between the rural areas and urban areas. So there are many other areas where we can say that COVID has also pointed out the need for correct and adequate, timely, and disaggregated data. This is one. The second one is also in order to to recover from the COVID-19 smoothly, that will require a medium-term strategy. It's not a matter of 1 year or 2 years. Because we don't know how long COVID is going to stay, and secondly, also how long it's going to take how much time it's going to take for vaccinating the people. So these are the issues in terms of when you think about the strategy to recover from the COVID-19 impact. And these are all, and this third point I was also going to mention is that exchange and share of knowledge which have been generated, think tanks across the South Asian countries, they are across the South Asian region, they are generating a lot of data and also analysis. So it would be good to synthesize, to also bring those knowledge together and share, and also make probably a common strategy. Some of the issues would be, of course, country specific, but there will be some which would be applicable for all countries. So this is regarding the exchange. And the fourth point I also wanted to highlight regarding the sustainability. So the other ones we have mentioned, those are both for external and internal intervention or initiative. But the other one is also that regarding the sustainability of the think tanks itself, since COVID has diverted some of the resources of the development partners. Now, many organizations are facing fund shortages. And also during COVID, we have also experienced that some of the larger donors have changed their strategies and focus. For example, DFID has been merged with the Foreign Office. Now FCDO it has emerged, which has totally different focus, their strategy, because they have a different political objective also. So the whole ideology of supporting think tanks or generating knowledge and contributing towards knowledge generation, that perception has been totally changed, and it is now viewed from a technocratic point of view. So I don't know about the other countries, but I can tell about Bangladesh that DFID or FCDO funding has been drastically cut. And even the largest NGOs, which is BRAC in Bangladesh, it's largest in the world, so their fund has been totally stopped. I mean, it is a humongous amount. It's above 200 million, I think, or no, 500 million project, so $1 billion project. So that has been totally, slashed down, and also for many other organizations. So the sustainability of, so these are the, some of the, or these organizations are not think tanks, they are do tanks, even so interventionists, where many donors want to focus more. So if that kind of organization is facing such stern measures in terms of receiving funds, how the think tanks will be facing, that's really quite quite scary, in the sense that the sustainability of many think tanks will be jeopardized. So how in that new landscape of international support, the think tanks will survive, I think that has to be also thought through amongst ourselves. I remember in the past, during the TTI regime, we used to discuss in every regional meeting that the sustainability of the think tanks, how to survive at all. I think we are still struggling with that idea, and I don't know what lies in the future, but we should also think and put our heads together in terms of our sustainability. But financial sustainability in this case, of course, knowledge sustainability and policy interventions and all these are there. But I think as we have discussed that we have during COVID-19, we have focused and refocused our areas of work, our methods and modes of work. So that from the from internal side, that's not a problem. But so since for resources we have to depend on external sources, that's going to be a challenge. So these are my points.